Okay, good afternoon. This is Emily Nallen from Region 17, and I'm going to take you through creating another data view in Eduphoria Aware. The data view we're creating for this video is the Learning Standard Analysis. So if you have my recipe card handy, that's the one that we're going to walk through the step-by-step on how to create it. So where you always want to begin is in Aware in the bottom left-hand corner, create a new data view. From here we will go through our wizard and we will pick a particular assessment that we want to start with. If you are choosing to create this as a template to share with your teachers, then it does not matter which assessment you pick. You can pick a more recent assessment and particularly not a retest. As that will give you the data fields that apply the most appropriately. So just click one particular assessment. It really doesn't matter which one. So we're going to click next. So the next thing the wizard asks us is how do we want to view the results. So if I go back to my template card, it says I can make a choice here. Do I want to do this by campus or by individual student? So again, for this you should always ask yourself, who is the person that's going to be looking at this data? If I want teachers looking at the learning standard analysis, as they're the ones that are going to be teaching it, then I would want to do individual student. If, however, if you have maybe interventionists, maybe you have a lead principal, a curriculum principal, something of that nature, maybe you want them looking at it, then it might be more helpful to do campus averages as they're going to see overall students. It just kind of depends on your particular situation. For now, we're going to do the individual student results as we're hoping that teachers are pulling this data. So then our next question is set the time frame. So what are we looking for here? If we were creating this data view off of a state administered test and we really wanted accountability purposes, we would choose where students were. But for this particular view, it's going to apply to teachers, so we want where students are now because this is the default for how teachers see data in the system. When we want to make it easy for them. So then it asks as well what type of information. I did say the learning standards for this particular report, and so we will go ahead and click that box and then we'll say next in the bottom right hand corner, and then it asks us do we want to summarize this data by any of these particular fields. And for this one I recommend that you don't, especially if you want teachers viewing it. Now if it is at a campus level and you have some ethnicity or some special ed goals or focuses, then you may want to check those boxes as it's going to lend itself to summarizing that data. But like I said, today we're doing it for teachers, so we're going to skip that and say next. Our last question, do you want to edit the view before actually seeing it? Yes, we do. So then we'll click View My Report. And then we're taken into the editor screen of the data view. So from here, first good practice is to name our data view Learning Standard Analysis. Perfect. Okay. On the Tables tab, or as I refer to the Test tab, we don't want to grab any more assessments. We're just good with the one we picked. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Columns tab. From here on our recipe card, it says the first thing that we need is Learning Standard Number. And then as I gaze through my report, I don't need any of these fields. So I'm actually going to clear them and start with a fresh slate. So the very first one is Learning Standard Number. So I can assume that's in my Learning Standard folder. Learning Standard Number, voila. So I highlight it, drag and drop. Then my second one is Learning Standard Description. Perfect. Drag and drop. Next, I have the Learning Standard % correct. Okay, % correct. Drag and drop. And then the last is the Learning Standard Number total. There we go. Drag and drop. Okay, before I move on, let's make sure I don't have to do anything else. Okay, that looks great. So I already said we're not doing anything in Summarize. So instead of hitting save, like I always say, make sure that you click update in the bottom right hand corner to actually save and populate all the results that we just worked on. And it may take a couple seconds for the data to render. Lovely. Okay, so what we have here is our report for individual teachers. As you notice, this has our student on the left-hand side. It has all the learning standards they were tested on for this particular assessment. We even have exactly what that learning standard was, so we have the text associated. Then as we scroll over a little bit, we have learning standard percent correct with the number of times it was tested. So this one makes perfect sense. This first standard here, it was tested twice. They got it right half the time. So 1 out of the 2 times they got it right. You can easily see the areas where students struggled, and you can start to identify some outliers or some trends. Usually, if you like, you can always toggle the data by clicking Compare Cross Test. And if you like the visual a little bit different this way, you can always transition it and see the student information as it goes across. For this one, we have a little bit too much text in my opinion, so I like it to go the traditional route, which is going to be compare across groups. And then the other thing I'll show you that is very helpful for this data view is if you do, as a teacher, if you want more of big picture data, you can click on your teacher summary in the upper right hand corner. And it's thinking. What this is going to do that you will see in just a second is it's going to give you big picture, so not individual student, but you as a teacher, how all of your kids summarize by each of the standards. So if you want some big picture, like I said, here's our teacher view. Here is each one of the standards, and 84% got it correct. So that's pretty good. As I go through, I can see my outliers of some areas that we missed, some areas that were low, and some things I could focus in on that we missed big picture. We missed the concept of that. Of course, back to the individual student view, I can see detail of who were those kids that actually missed these areas and was it consistent. So grouping kids is fabulous, but seeing big picture as well, you can just use your summarization buttons to take it wherever you'd like it to go. So if we want to set this as a data view, as we've done before, you first hit your save button. Make sure it saves, that's important. Tells me that it did, and my screen should refresh. And I always like to check myself by going to my saved views, and the very last one should be the one that I saved. There it is. Perfect. So if this is just a data view for myself, I could leave it here. But if in this case I do want to share, then I go and click my share button in the upper right hand corner. If I am a district person, I can share this as a district view for all of my teachers and as a district quick view. This allows it to be affiliated with your drop-down menu in the upper right-hand corner, so any teacher, even if it's not a reading teacher, any teacher, high school, middle school, elementary, can drill down in their data and choose this data view, and it will apply the template to their particular students. So if that's not the case and I'm a campus principal, then I can do my campus, my teachers, and my campus quick views. So then it would apply for just the teachers at my campus. Either which way works great. I do already have this particular view saved. So what we're going to do is, if I then complete practice, I always like to check myself, and I go to a different piece of data. So we're on 4th grade reading, so I'm going to do 6th grade math. I'll check myself to make sure it's saved as well. So learning standard analysis, there it is. It's going to think for a second, and there is my data view saved. In this particular one, it's all students is how it's saved rather than by individual. So it's really just your preference, but you can see very quickly that any teacher can then apply her data to this particular template. Hopefully that was helpful. Thank you.